Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Driven, the podcast that dives deep into the mindset of the movers and shakers of our world. Today, we've got a great guest. Say hello to Damian Steenkamp. He's an amazing guy who's battled adversity but is now lifting up others with his story. Damian's life shows how you can beat tough times with a strong spirit and a calm mind. He shares his life in a way that pulls at the heart, filled with real problems, grit, and always getting back up when knocked down. Damien uses what he's learned from experience to give others hope. His wisdom doesn't come from books, but from living a life that's had a lot of highs and lows. His outlook gives us a fresh look at life and embraces the challenges he's presented with at all times. He shows us what courage looks like, how to bounce back, and the power of believing in yourself. So get set for an episode packed with life changing lessons and heaps of motivation. Let's not wait any longer. Let's get into our heartwarming talk with Damian Steenkamp, our 6 foot stoic. Brace yourself for a roller coaster ride of feelings that will leave you feeling stronger and smarter. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Driven. Today, we have a special guest, Damian Steenkamp. He's going to give us his interpretation of what it means to be an ever changer of life and how he has risen from, let's just say, an unforgivable injury to where he's at now. Welcome to the show, man. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. Much gratitude to have you here.
Awesome, man. So let's start it off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, what you do.
Yeah. So I was born and raised South African. Moved to Canada when I was about 6 years old. First landed in Surrey, BC, then to Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, and then our dad got a job in oil and gas in Calgary, Alberta, and then we moved there. So for the remainder of my teenage years, I spent up till about 15 or 16 in BC, then moved to Calgary, and then from Calgary, now I am now based in Chilliwack, British Columbia. So I chose the profession of a contractor. Originally, I'm a journeyman red seal bricklayer and a refractory mason. So it's a job nobody really knows about. It's very ancient, it's old, but it's got great tradition and values, and it's just a really great job. I'm an artist, so it just takes the collaboration of hard work and artistry, and the blend of the two just make it like some of my deepest, greatest passions is to build and to create. So that being said, like everything else that I've done up till now is kind of like an extension of what I was in my or who I am in my career, and I just branch off from that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Any family, kids, wife?
Right now, I have family all over the place. So, like my dad, my mom are not together. They split when I was 18. So, my mom lives in White Rock, BC, close by. So, I can go see mom on Sundays. And my sister still lives in Calgary. She's living with her boyfriend of 6 years. They're not married, which is strange, but I guess that's the way she goes nowadays. Um, my dad and his new wife live in Aberdeen or Edinburgh, Aberdeen. I don't know which two now, but they're two going into the same things. Like they're in oil and gas and they work together, but they're based out in Scotland, so that's where they are at. The rest of my family still lives in South Africa. Grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle, the rest of the lot. So that's my family situation. No children just yet, but I do plan on becoming one of the best dads ever one day. Little boy, little girl, doesn't matter. Uh, just looking forward to that day where I get to pick my little kiddo up and just toss him around and teach him the greatest things life can offer and give him the love that I missed out on as a kid. So,
Wow, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I have 4 children and I've been married for 15 years, so um,
oh
it's a
man,
world wild of a it's a whirlwind of a ride, but
yeah,
it's so worth it, brother. It is so worth it.
yeah,
Um,
and I can't wait for that. Yeah,
I'm sure you can. How old are you?
I'm 32. I'm turning 33 this year.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So generally, what I like to do is I like to ask everybody this first question, and you can, gear it towards any part of your life or where you're at right now, or if there's something that you've been through. But essentially, is what is your definition of a successful mindset, or what are the qualities that you think come with a successful mindset?
Oh man, great question. Um, Successful mindset. Like I went through so many definitions of what it means to be successful, and still the world is polluted today with what the definition of success is. And I think that it's hard to define what success is. But in my terms of success is always learning. Like you always got to continuously learn. And success is when you harness that mindset and really know that you're not done learning. And a successful mindset, or just being successful, I think comes with years of just experience and learning and living, and having a mindset to help others. And when you can do that and extend yourself in those ways, like that's my definition of success, is really reaching that point of just extending yourself and being able to put yourself forward in life and just helping others really. So that's kind of like my definition.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What are the qualities that I mean, I totally get what you're saying, but what are some of the qualities that you envision somebody who does have a successful mindset has? Is it, disciplined? Is it,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a good set of values and a moral compass, like a nice strong moral compass and a good set of values. Like pick your top 5 and live. Like get out there, experience relationships, heartbreak, being fired, I don't know, cooking the batch of chicken at KFC wrong and learning from getting people sick. Like yeah, just those things. And then you get to know yourself a bit better. And then people come and swerve in and say like, "Oh yeah, that was wrong." And then you have your ego kick in and you just keep experiencing like what is it meant to be the right kind of person, like do people like me, and it's values. It always boils down to values, and that's kind of like what goes into like my definition of success. And a moral compass, you can't be a straight arrow if you don't have like a very good clear direction, and if your moral compass is skewed, you're not going to find any sort of direction. So that's based upon experiences and just failure, really. If failure wins, you name it. So,
That's awesome. Um, so a friend of ours, Calvin, he says that been through some things in life, some gruesome injury. Do you want to like talk about that? I don't want to, if it's touchy for you, let's not, but I'd love
yeah.
to hear it.
Yeah, no, like, I've got to a point now where I can actually talk about it without like reliving so much like trauma. The thing is with the injury that I sustained, it was very localized. It was direct, and it wasn't and the direct injury, it went into a lot of things, so it was very complex. And the way that I responded to it was that of like I've never experienced such a response from even from myself. So going to counseling, talking it out with others, and just experiencing like how my body feels and responds to different things has been like a great teacher to me. So I've gotten to a place where I can feel comfortable talking about it and letting people know that their their mind and what their body can do is unfathomable. Like I come to you, Aaron, with this knowledge that you do not know your potential until you go through something incredibly crippling or something that is just unbearable. Like you can get injured from anything and you can bounce back tenfold. I've seen paralyzed people get back and do the regular things that they used to, and it's incredible. And I've experienced just a minute, small bit of that. So seeing those people increase their life based on like how they've sustained their injury or what they've gone through is like that was kind of like my motivational driving force. So um, if I'm going to go into like the story itself, it's like a tale, it's like a story. So I'll cut it down into like in good bits so that you can get the gist of the
You don't have to
learnings.
don't cut it down. Like we're here to
Okay,
listen
yeah,
and
sure.
enjoy. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Right on. Okay. Let's get into it. All
All
right.
right.
So I'm a strength athlete. I love to lift heavy things. I'm a goon. I got long arms. I'm big. I'm muscular. Like I got to do it. My genetic potential needs me to do those things. So I wasn't in a good space at this one training session, and I threw 260 keys on the bar and thought, you know what, YOLO, I'm going to do it. But I didn't periodize myself for this lift, so I got it off the floor. So 260 keys, I think, is like close to the range of 600 pounds, something like that. And I got it past my knees, and I was like, "Yep, this is going." And I felt this pop in my back, and suddenly tingles go down my legs, and I was like, "Oh no, stop!" And that was it. And I walked away, and I was just like, my heart was just like pounding out of my chest. Like, this is now a career-ending injury. Like, my legs started to go numb, and I was just like, "Oh man, what did I do?" So I get home, and the injury itself was in the gym, but the actual rupture of my disc was the day after, when I decided to go get imaging. I bent over to put my sock on, and I heard this audible like pop, and suddenly I like rose to my feet, and all this burning sensation, pain, and numbness just fled, and I was on the floor screaming like a madman. Like, I can't tell you, like, the pain that was radiating from this was incredible. And my partner that I was with at the time, she could only just look at me and be like, "What's going on? Like, what do I do?" And suddenly the pain comes down and starts to rest. My body adapts to it, and I can't feel anything in my saddle area. My genitals have lost feeling. I can't even do a pelvic floor thrust. My hamstrings, my glutes, my calves offline. No, nothing there. Just imagine sitting on the toilet for too long. You know that feeling, and then you get up.
Yes,
It was
yes.
like that times like 100, and I was freaking out. I'm like, "Oh, what do I do? Like, this is incredibly, like, what do nothing. I had nothing going on in my brain." So I decide to call the ambulance and get me checked into the clinic down the way here. And um, from that point onwards, I think it was 3 sessions with 3 surgeons, two the same and one with a different surgeon and a resident surgeon. All 3 times they were like, "Oh, your symptoms are transient. Like, you got to worry about it. Go home." But the symptoms getting worse. I got this thing called drop foot. I couldn't even flex my pelvic floor to like stop urine from coming out, and it was ugly. Like, and my mental state, like being a strong guy, like I just lost the ability to walk. Like, ripping 600 off the floor, squatting over 5, gone. Like, it's a myth now. Like, I can't do that anymore. And I was like, how what am I gonna do? Like, what's my purpose now? So I'm at this crossroads inside my head at different points of my visiting these hospital visits. Uh, two out of the 3 times I was at those hospital visits, like, it was incredibly just painful, watching people come in and go, and it was one after the other of just pause and just wait, and suddenly we're getting frustrated. It's been 2 3 weeks, my symptoms aren't getting better. The surgeons are like, "You know what, you're gonna get better, you just got to wait for the disc to clean itself up." And my partner, which, she was definitely awesome for this, but she got them to come and check out, like, just to check out the symptoms more, to be like, "You guys, like, this is not good. Like, we need to keep a close eye on this." And one surgeon out of the 3, he was like, "Okay, we got to get you MRI now. We'll double check on like what's going on." So they got their imaging done. A couple of days later, the surgeon's like, "Dude, we got to get you on the table like tomorrow. Like, your injury is bad. Like, MRIs only take like one side of like the imaging, so you can only see like one side of the spine." I had like L3 was done, L4 and 5 were just like herniated a little bit too. So I did damage on like 3 discs. But three was the worst. It was gone. Like, so my injury was a bilateral to the right, and that's the side they couldn't see, disc rupture. So my chiropractor said, he's like, "Imagine a tube of toothpaste. You stepped on it and the disc matter shot out. That's basically what happened to you." So the disc matter shot out and actually pinched my spinal cord at such like a high pressure rate that it imprinted on my nerve roots and like atrophied my left quad. It's permanent numbness inside my quads, and tingling and pins and needles in my feet. for the rest of my life. Like I'll have that forever. But before the injury, it was much worse. It was like I didn't really feel my legs. Like I was like a minor paralysis. So you can imagine, like in hospital, I'm just sitting there and stewing and just like, what am I going to do with my life? And at this point, like I had my journal, um, and it was like my saving grace. I want to read any books because I didn't really know if I had the faculty to absorb information. It was just me. And at this time, I was like, I need to do something about this. And what better way to do something about this is like, let's try this manifestation thing. Like, let's try to like open up the mental faculties and let's like work on healing. So I have this book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's about
Oh, I was gonna grab it.
there
I
you
was gonna.
go, man. You know what's up. There we go. You go, what's up.
Woo! All right.
So yeah, man, we're gonna get into it. So I've got Joe Dispenza's book, and I just watch these little YouTube snippets about like how heart and mind coherence can help with healing. And so I started to get more into my practices. And my partner at the time, she had this book called the Bhagavad Gita, as it was, and I read some of those little excerpts inside the Bhagavad Gita. So paired with that and Joe Dispenza's work and other like Greg Braden stuff, and just getting out of your head and getting into heart and mind coherence, I wrote pages and pages of affirmations and beliefs and rewired my brain in hospital while I had a guy in the hospital bed next to me who was having night terrors and kept me up for like 6, 7 hours a night. So I wasn't getting good sleep. Luckily, the partner I had at the time, she was such an angel, man. She brought me food and she got me my vitamins, and like if it wasn't for her showing up and like really being a presence and like really doing what she did, I don't think I would have healed on top of like everything else. So like my heart goes out to her and I say much thank you so much for being there for me. Um, so I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing, and suddenly like I can feel my body's just responding. Like the inflammation's starting to go down tiny bits, like just tiny bits. I'm not on morphine. I'm not on T3s. Like Aaron, I rode this out. Like the pain, I rode that out like a boss, dude. Morning till night, pain came and went, and I was just sitting there. I was just like, this is going to go away. Like I'm flushing my system out of all impurities. I'm going to go for my surgery and I'm going to be better. So I start walking and I set intentions for myself. That's the number one thing you got to remember is be intentional. The first thing you do before you set any sort of manifestation forth is be 100% intentional. Put that down and live it, like become it, like put yourself in that position, imagine what they would feel like. And I swear once you open that mental faculty up, anything is possible. So but it takes time, it takes repetition. You got to do it on and on and on. It's not just, oh, I think this and now it's going to happen. It's like, no, this takes work. You got to do it. uh, Fast forward, surgery happens, pain goes away. I got a piece of my spine missing, disc's gone. Great, let's go. We got to keep moving here, man. So, buddy next door still keep me up. I'm like, nurse, I got to check out. Like this guy, he's keeping me up. I can't sleep, but like get better, my friend. Like just do your best. So I get out of the hospital, get back home. My partner's got little bedside rail for me and a little booster seat for the toilet, which was really cool that she did that. I really appreciate that. It was really awesome for her to do that. So um, continuously day after day, and I woke up morning, evening, afternoon, wherever I got the chance in that book, writing those intentions and just getting really clear, concise. I'm going to heal in 2 months. I'm going to be back at work. I'm going to be successful. I've got my legs back, feeling everything. I'm able to have sex, whatever, just everything is back to normal. Um, that then carried over into so many other stories. Like I was climbing the stairs to get my legs back and I was just reworking different motions. And it was like, I couldn't even step up a step that was like maybe a foot high. And then I was going up these stairs that were like 2 foot gaps and things like that. And this little kid just runs by me down this ramp, and I put my belongings down at the bottom there. and I'm hustling down with him, and suddenly he goes and steals my stuff, and I'm like, oh no, now I can't even run. So this was like my first test, like my first ever test during this time, where I was like, okay, well, you got to stop walking and start running a little bit, like get a little bit of giddy up in you. So the universe will, or God will lay down opportunities for you to, like, hey, buddy, you want to heal? Here's the next step. So in order for these steps to kind of like take place, you got to perform. Like, it's the opportunity. It doesn't just come handed to you on a silver platter. You got to start moving along with it. And with that, the healing comes as well. It's not just a magical recipe of like, set the intentions and suddenly now I've got $1 million in the bank. No, the opportunities will come and you will then find a way. So test after test after test, my bike being stolen, kids running away with my things, just getting mad at the world. I just use that as fuel to just kind of like dig deep inside of me, like going into whatever mind space I had was like, it was dark for one, because I've suffered with mental health since I was a young kid, but gotten better over the years. So coming back home into me and finding that peace and that sanctuary, it was the perfect time to find that. And knowing that this injury to me in my world happened for a reason. It happened to put me in the next stage of my life, because if there wasn't growth coming to me in other ways, this was definitely one that was going to shape my life forever. And there is zero ego attached to it. I don't talk about this in a way that is telling people like, Uma suffered an injury, look at me. I want to inspire, help, and give resonance to this, because you have no idea the potential you hold inside. And from that, like, I got back to work in 2 months. I got this little whiteboard and I put it on my fridge, and I literally set up the stages of how I want to make my life after this, because if I'm better, now I can do anything. And after my shutdowns, I got back home and I'm like, if I can climb into a manhole the size of like, I don't know, like 3 feet wide by 3 feet wide, they're small. If I can fit into there and go jackhammer for 12 hours a day, like I can do anything now. Like, this is like, I sustained the worst back injury ever. But um, just doing the work and practicing that, is it opened the doors to limitlessness. It was almost like there was just openness. You could just find a meditative part in your mind, come back home, and literally unfold whatever you want to do and become whatever you want. Like you have incredible healing powers in your body. You could tell your cells to rapidly restore whatever you've got going on, delete whatever you got in your body, and I swear it will happen. I'm a testament to this. I really believe that the power within holds great potential. And from this experience, I'm so grateful for every heartbreak that I ever endured, the people that didn't show up in my life, the the things that made things painful in the morning, which was my nerves, my muscles not being active. I'm grateful for every single elastic band that stretched to regain the strength in my muscles that broke. I'm grateful for the money that got depleted in my account to show me the way that I could balance my finances. I'm grateful for the 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 times where I went to physio and chiro and learned different stories about how people have come out of great accidents with awesome recovery stories, which gave me hope. So like, one after the other, there was these weird universal synchronicities and events that just played out, that was just promising to me like, you're going to be okay, and I can tell you, like, from when I went to counseling to heal this trauma, because from this injury, it did implant in me some sort of trauma, and I'm not really big into like knowing what trauma is, but um, I experienced some of it, I guess. So uh, going through counseling and processing all that, allowing it to be there, sitting in your pain, sitting in whatever you feel is coming up is super important, especially for someone that is trying to find a route or just anything to make things better. You have to allow yourself to be with what is. So yeah, that was a lot.
No, it was great. I mean, I got to tell you a few things, just standing out. One, right when you started your conversation, I was like, if he doesn't know about Joe Dispenza, I'm going to tell him about it. And boom, it was like you said it. I was like, the universe brought you to me because
Yeah.
I've been studying Joe since January of this year, and I in his progressive intensive course online, I did the whole thing.
Mm.
The second time not the second time, sorry, the second meditation in his course, I fully broke down, and I had this like gut wrenching pit of just happiness that I never knew was possible, that you could just find within, instead of
Mm.
like there's always this external validation that you're trying to get from others,
Yeah.
for happiness. But the truth
Yeah.
is you've always had it within. The divine lives within.
Yes.
And when I found that, I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, and all of your story resonates very much so with me. I actually had back surgery in 2014, and I lost feeling in my not my whole legs, but my right leg, my calf down, and I
Hmm.
couldn't, step on my tippy toes. It
Yeah.
wouldn't
Same.
fire. And
Yep.
my smart ass would continue to go to the gym before I had surgery, because I was like, well, I'm not gonna be able to lift after I have surgery, so I'm just gonna go for the
Yeah.
4 or 5 months until I can't move anymore. But it was the godsend, because I shit you not, had the surgery. I I can't make this up. 2 hours after surgery, I got up and left. Two
Oh yeah.
hours. Yes, after having back surgery, I
What
got
the?
up and walked out. Shit you not. Um, it was the Yeah, I swear to you. It was Now this is, I mean, it's 2014, right? I didn't know anything about Joe Dispenza or anything like that. But I was so determined, and like I was just like, I know this is gonna work for me. All these people are like, don't get surgery, don't get surgery. I'm like, ah. So the reason I'm telling you this is because your story resonates so much with me. Like I mean, I didn't have your full experience, and I thank God that you're so much better now. But like, it just hit home
Oh yeah.
everything you're saying. And I've been studying so much, Joe Dispenza, and I'm not sure if you're into like Ryan Holiday. Um
Oh, big time, man. I'm a huge
oh
stoic. My
oh
name on YouTube is the 6 foot stoic,
oh
man.
all right, that's
Yeah,
awesome. We
boy.
gotta
Yeah,
talk more, brother. I think we were meant
we
to
do.
fucking talk today, man. Oh man.
Wicked. Love it.
um that is amazing. I love the passion in the story that you're talking with. Like, it hits home so much for me. Man, I don't know if I can even beat any of that after after listening to that. That
No,
was
it's not about. It's not comparison, man. But
no,
like,
no.
my my neighbor has got through the same surgery too. He had his L5 removed. So it's you, me, and this guy here in this world together, just like experiencing this weird phenomena of back surgery. So, um, it's seriously an incredible thing to know that like you yourself are the creator and the being of all. Like, and that injury, I swear, had brought me closer to God. Like in all aspects. Like I now am so grateful that I have my God in my life, and I don't know what you practice, but my balance is between, and it's weird. I balance between a little bit of Christianity and some Eastern spirituality as well. It's kind of a blend of the two, but that's a conversation for another time on those topics. But um, they really did help me bring me closer to God. And you are an embodiment of God as well. The vision of God is you. And Greg Braden talks about the lost gospel of Thomas, and that was basically the recipe for manifestation and creating anything that you want. Water into wine, and just the allowance of this of the mind to be coherent with the body and using emotions to heal you. So
That's beautiful, man. I mean, it really
sound.
is.
Yeah, sound as well. Big thing on like meditations and sounds and different frequencies also help my body in the total ways that I could ever experience. Because when I was in this deep depressive state, I would put on that those tones, and I would sit there and close my eyes, and I would imagine my spine, and I would visualize it, and I would just say to myself, like, my back is healed and my spine is healthy and my disc is regenerated. And suddenly, after 2 months, like, I'm with the boys inside the kilns and killing it. I'm just like, I'm stoked. Like, I'm back doing what I used to do. And I'm sitting in the hospital. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? My chiro's like, you got to change your careers. You can't go back. You know, you're going to have to do Tai Chi or Qigong. I'm like, dude, I just got back from the gym. I just deadlifted like 345 pounds. Like, I'm like halfway there to 600 again, man. Like, I'm going to deadlift 600 again. You can't stop me. Like, that's the thing. Once you know you're limitless, like, it's impossible for anyone to come into your world and be like, yeah, you can't do that. That influence just it evades you. So,
Oh man, that's great, dude. Yeah, I want to see the post when you do 600 too. I'm looking
oh
forward
yeah.
to it.
Oh,
Um,
I'm making an intention, man. Like, that's a comeback that not everyone's gonna see. So those that do see it,
yeah, buddy. Yeah,
yeah,
some good shit, man. It's
yeah,
motivating. Oh, all right. Well, let's beyond that, because that's a very major part of your story.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what you do for work. Like, what is your
Sure.
passion behind?
Yeah, so I like building things. Ever since I was like in my teens, I had this affinity with like putting things together. As a kid, I had Bionicles and Legos, and I just like created abominations, and I was just super creative. I do art as well, so I was like, oh, what's the blend of the two things here? And suddenly, the universe put bricklaying into my path. So went to school for bricklaying, got my journeyman red seal, and now I work for a contractor who is my good friend, who is honestly the best connection that I have to getting established out here. As I was established out in Calgary, I just hit the wall. I wasn't really enjoying it there. The scene wasn't that great, so I was in the States, and on top of all the manifestations that I had with my health, I wrote on my whiteboard, like, I want to make this amount of money. I want to have this opportunity come my way, and I want to live in this area. And dude, like, I'm living in Chilliwack now. Like, I never thought I would be living here. I live in a beautiful little home out in the mountains. I'm making exactly what I intended to make as money, and just like all of it just got put forward with me in opportunities. So I was like, okay, great. Getting back to topic. Um, I I just want to be a home builder. Honestly, I think that's my passion, is to kind of like find a way in this market to build affordable homes, or I don't know, extend myself into different countries, maybe try building there. Um, I just want to change the tide, or turn the tides for the market in contracting. Like, I want everyone to, like, I want to create a business that is value oriented, so that if I'm hiring or contracting things out, that I know that people are integral and they have great values, and we all align, because this world is filled with snakes, and I want to be the exterminator of the snakes. No snake pits here. So, um, yeah, I'm very passionate about building, and I think that's something that has been inside me for a long time, is the ability to make something out of nothing.
I love it. And hey,
Yeah,
just so we're clear, you can always circle back to the manifestation stuff because
yeah,
I'm a huge believer in it. Like I
it's
every
amazing.
morning, 20 minutes,
Yeah,
I do my morning manifestation, Joe Dispenza.
yeah,
Evening, 20 minutes, do the same. And then during the
yeah.
day, anywhere from I would say 3 to 4 times a week, I'll do 45 to an hour. And I microdose too. So
Oh, same. Yeah,
so
same.
like
Yeah. I'm macro now. My tolerance is retarded, so like I get.
well, yeah, I've learned I learned from my guide. She's very good, by the way. And I can give you
Yeah.
her contact if you'd like. But
Sure.
I've learned that you have to do 5 weeks on, 1 week off. in order for
Yeah.
your body to not build a huge tolerance. But I
Yeah.
do as well macro. So I'll do 300 a couple days a week and then 500 a couple days a week. That's
Yeah.
just how I do it. But I mean, I know that people like to do one gram and heroic
Yeah.
doses and all that other stuff. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a little scared to do it because I have a troubled past and
Oh yeah.
I'm doing a lot of work mentally and
Yeah.
spiritually to let it go. So I'm not afraid of reliving it, but I'm more so I'm afraid what my mind and my body is going to do when I have to go through that
Yeah.
when I have a heroic dose. So one
Yeah.
day we'll get there.
Yeah. The key is with the microdosing or the dosing and correlating to what we're talking about. I think the one thing that is important to work on is surrendering, is to allow this to be what it is. Like in my aspects, I did 3.5 the other day, and it was a different experience for me as a macro because 3.5 is quite a bit. And I get back home and like I'm in an intentional state. I'm like, okay, I'm going to utilize this to like get into some deep work with myself. So surrendering that and just letting it like take over you and letting it be what it is. It's not going to hurt you. Always remember that when you're in that state, is like, this is not going to hurt me. This is going to teach me. If you repeat that over and over again, you can keep pushing the boundaries slowly. But the one thing to remember with mushrooms is they will talk to you. The mycelium, once it's inside your system and you've been interacting with it, your brain and your connection to the mycelium and the mushrooms will tell you it's time. Like we can now dose, or like it's time for us to go back onto this stuff. So during my injury, I was never on mushrooms. That was the one time I needed to be fully sober and in myself, in my body, and not in my head, because I'm going from my head to my heart, and I was wanting to be present in my heart. So during my injury, throughout the whole time that I got back to work, there was no influence of mushrooms. Coming out of that, then I started to dose, and that's when the work started to happen. I had all these realizations, and the change started to come about, and I started to be like, oh, like why am I feeling so uneasy about all these things? And it's like, no, this is just you peeling that layer off. You got something new coming out. It's like a lobster. It's shedding its molting. Now you're becoming this brilliant new beast. Like, come on, like embrace it. And once you're in that change, you kind of look at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes you're like, I don't even know who I'm looking at. Like I've got all these feelings in me. I'm just changed, and your opinions and boundaries and all these other crazy things start to come out, and you're like, wow, this doesn't existed before. Like, where is this coming from now? It's like that's your growth. That's now you allowing you to step into your new self, your higher self, your divine self.
That's so good, man. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. I love that.
Surrender. Always learning to just surrender.
Well, I'll be rewatching this a few times. Obviously, I have to edit it, but like it's that's great. I love thank you for telling me that because that is
Yeah.
something that I probably really needed to hear. So I really appreciate that. Um
Yeah. Anytime.
so with your business, you did say you're a business owner. Is that considered because, you are your own contractor and yourself for your bricklaying and people can just, hire you? Or is that
Yeah.
because, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I've got something going on with me and my mom. We're starting a cleaning business, and I'm contracting, getting the tenders out, and then giving it to people. And then I use what I make to pay them out, and then get the contracts and tender out some more work. So I've got other aspects to my business. So you can say I'm a, what do you call it, an entrepreneur? But I don't really like that word. I just like to be business owner because I want to have multiple businesses. So
Yeah.
business owner, yeah, I have my own business and I tender out work. If I have a surplus, I give it out to someone who can do it for me, and then according to whatever tenders come in, I take them on and then I contract. So I can say I subcontract as well, but also being connected to home builders and other facets of a construction site. Like you can also like run a business as well while working on the construction site.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
let's talk about your work then. So
sure.
you have you've been doing, I don't know how long you've been doing it, but you can answer that after this. You have your business, you've been doing it for X amount of years, months. whatever the case may be. What is the
Yeah.
mindset that you had to get into to actually, create this business and keep it long lasting?
Persistence, like perseverance. Like you will, when you have a business, and it's with anything you do in life, there's going to be incredible pitfalls. Trust me, I've gone through some gnarly ass pitfalls, and those are times when you need to really be grounded and assert, like, hey, we're gonna eat shit for a little bit here, but like you gotta keep the same values going and keep the same persistence up and the same quality. As soon as you lean or waver on any of those, the you don't want it. Like you don't want it. Like you gotta want it, and it's got to be something deep burning inside you that you got to like attack at all times, no matter how bad shit gets, whether it's financial pitfalls or if it's mental pitfalls. Like come back down to it and say, okay, this isn't going to last long, and I need to be intentional about what it is that is this teaching me, because there's always lessons in everything that goes on. Like I must be missing something, and through every single thing that I've either lacked on or got a surplus in, had a small bit of information to teach me that this is now needing my attention. So um, in the broad spectrum, like you just got to keep persisting. Don't give up. Don't just think that, oh, since this is not working out, I got to change my careers and go to something else. And then you're going to go do that something else, and then that's going to have the same outcome as well too, or the same processes. So you're going to flip flop between the two. It's like stick with one and then just see it through.
Hmm. No,
So
I really like that. That's good. Um, huh. Yeah. Sorry, I'm processing what you're saying.
yeah,
So what is your favorite part of the job then? I mean, I understand, you already kind of mentioned setbacks, which is
yeah.
what I was going to ask you next. So what is your favorite part of the jobs? I mean, like, is it just creating?
Honestly, I think it's for me it's changed, but like right now it's connecting with people. Like I like to be on a construction site and I like to make connections, and I like to see how the project goes along with how deep of a connection you can make with somebody, because no matter where you are on a construction site, if you are connected with everyone around you, you'll get favors. Like everyone will see you. People will keep you safe, like they'll look out for you. So like my thing is to get to know everyone on my construction site. It used to be seeing the project take flight, and then all the progress happening, and then now that's just kind of fallen away. It's cool, but at the same time it's like the memories you make around site, where it was like, oh, example, this guy Tito I worked with, he let me use his lifts, and it was basically like, yeah, for a pack of beer you could have my lifts and you can finish the job pretty easily. And it was like just these small little transactions you make with people. It's just the coolest thing, because you
Yeah.
just get to experience people, have good conversations, and just kind of like shoot the shit. So whatever site you go on with them next, you can rely on them to be like a connection where everyone kind of looks out for you and things like that. So for me, it's just that to some might be a strange question, because everyone's like, oh, I like the hard work, I like to sweat, and I like to build. It's like, from my aspect, it's about the connection with people. Like we're here to build together. Like let's get together, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, that you again, I'm going to say it again. God brought us together for a reason. Things happen for you, not to you. And
Exactly.
uh I resonate quite a bit with what you just said. So that's awesome. I love that. Um
Yeah.
l- let's focus in on a few other things here. It seems to me that you're in a very, inspired mindset right now, currently, just because of all the things you've endured and whatnot. Um, how does somebody continue that mindset, staying at an elevated, inspired mindset?
Hmm. Yeah, because you definitely will have times where you don't have that to
Right.
get that mindset going. Honestly, it's try new things. Um, and continue to kind of like exercise the discomfort. Like you got to stay in a perpetual state of discomfort in order for that successful mind state to keep rising. Because nowadays we have quick dopamine fixes that just deplete us of this earning thing. Like if you really want something to take flight in your life, like get uncomfortable with doing something different. Like, I don't know, pet an ugly dog or something like that, or um, do a small thing for someone that really doesn't take much out of your day. It's just those small things. Like it doesn't really got to correlate with anything. It's just doing something out of your ordinary, like extending yourself in ways that you really didn't really figure would. That's just for me is just like finding little ways to just kind of like step out of my comfort zone always. Like there's always something that is going to test me, and I always like to stretch the limits a little bit, whether it's like cracking a joke that might be awkward and just laugh it off to myself. Like that's
I
just
did
it. Like it's just
dad
those things where
jokes.
yeah, and that small correlation, it will just keep reminding you. It's just like, yeah, we're still exercising that same muscle, but just in a different fashion. It's just kind of is like, it's not squatting the barbell. It's like getting on a hack squat or using a dumbbell, like or yeah, those things. But that's just how I kind of like remain in that mindset of if you're down for the count, you're laying on your couch, you got a bag of chips in your hand or something, you're just like, oh, I just don't feel like doing that thing. Like, go do that thing. Like, go do that thing. Don't put it off. Like, this is just that's the calling. Honestly, that's the calling is to just keep go doing it. Like, if you feel crappy and it's raining outside, like, what is there something that you can do that is going to make the rainy day not such a muggy little dreary mess? Um, What were you putting off? Make a list of something that you were putting off. Whether that's like fear of going to the bank and talking to a financial advisor or something. Like find something that's gonna extend yourself. Get out there. Do something about it. And a lot of people don't do that because they're afraid of rejection. You're gonna get tossed down. There's no doubt about that. But if you can remain like steady on that and just and say like it's okay, whatever happens, happens. Like I got one life. I got 75 summers, 75 springs, and 75 winters. When you really think about it, that's not a lot at best.
Right.
And I'm halfway there. And I don't know how old you are, Aaron, but like
I'm 39.
70, yeah, it's like 75 winters, 75 summers, 75 springs. Like I gotta make this count and remember that. And memento mori, you will die too.
Good. You're good. All right. I like it.
Yeah.
um, well, you obviously have a work life and personal life kind of like balance, it seems like. But for those that haven't really gotten to that point yet, what are some things do you think that people can do to strike a perfect kind? No, I don't like the word perfect. I always I like my saying is the imperfect or the perfect person is imperfect. Um,
Hmm.
but, what are you thinking that, somebody can do to create the perfect life balance and work balance? Because there's so many times where, in your case, you're wanting to be a entrepreneur, you're wanting to be, you're, back to your fitness prime days, which, you're gonna get there. I already know it. Um, and, you know, there's a lot of, split attention. I talked about this on my last podcast, split attention. Do you feel as if creating one singular goal in order to, get to that point and then kind of like, okay, I've mastered this, I can now create something else and work on that so that I can create more balance in my life? I know it's a long-tailed question. I apologize, but there's just so much in this that really
Yeah.
needs to be said.
Right. So like, let's get down to the mindset part. What can you do with that? You have to always know that like whatever goes down in life, like it's always going to get better at some degree. Like that the tough times don't ever last. So when I think about like, sorry, if you can ask that question again, the first one,
Sure.
is that all right?
Yeah. You want me to
Yeah.
re-ask it?
Yeah, re-ask it. I'm just
Okay.
trying to meditate on a good answer. So,
No, no. Basically, the whole question was, what is the mindset of being able to create a work life balance? Um,
okay.
there's a lot that goes in with that.
Yeah. All right. For one, choose yourself. And remember that, like, in order for the things to take place in life, like, you got to come back home to yourself and take care of yourself as best as you can. Whether that is like a good meal every night, or lighting an incense stick to give spirit notice to be like at one with self. Just the small things, like remain in love with yourself, validate yourself by saying, like, I need to keep validating the self to ensure that, yeah, I am the creator. Like, I am the one that's going to feel whatever comes next. And in order for this machine to be able to produce that, I needed to keep it well oiled. And whatever in life happens, it's going to happen. And it just needs to come back home to me. And I need to be able to detach from the outcome. And detachment is something very hard for people, because letting go of something just means, because you give something meaning, you got to hold on to it. As soon as you let the go of the meaning of that thing, you'll have an easier time detaching. And from circumstances, and the way you take care of yourself is the same thing. As soon as you detach, you're free of mind, and it will help you move on much, much faster. And the faster you learn how to let go and detach, it'll start to raise your vibration and bring back a lot more positivity, and shame and guilt and whatever low vibrational energies will just fizzle away. And you won't feel so hard about all the ramifications or circumstances or curveballs that come through to your life. And the best way that you can sustain knowing that whatever happens, like, I can still take care of myself. And if I'm low on the bar, whatever is going to help me out of this, it could be like a massage or a chat with a friend, a nice healthy dinner, just even like a walk in nature or something that just kind of brings you back home, grounds you. And yeah, I think that's my answer to that question.
That's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
You say grounding, and like a lot of people don't know this, but go out and walk on the grass. Like
Oh
really
yeah.
sit
Yeah.
in the sun for 10, 20 minutes. I don't know if you're a
Yeah.
fan of Andrew Huberman. Um,
Oh, big time. Yeah, that
okay.
guy's my
So
man crush.
I know. Same.
He's
He's
a handsome
amazing.
devil, man.
He's amazing, brother. That guy's amazing.
Mm.
He's a
Neuroscientist.
neuroscientist, but I can't remember his specialty. But my 15-year-old daughter wants to be a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
So I have 4 kids, and she's my oldest girl, and
Yeah.
yeah, and she wants to go to Stanford too, because if you ever watch
Yeah.
the podcast, I'll talk. I don't want to talk about me too much, but if you ever watch my podcast, it's the first one. It's the origin one. I talk about how I
Yeah.
had a blood transfusion as a baby. I had to have 3 of them at 1 years old, and I was
Oh
touch and
boy.
go at Stanford Hospital for 3 months. They didn't know if I was gonna, you know. So I'm here for a reason. Let's put
That's
it that
crazy.
way.
Yeah, no doubt. Like,
Yeah.
uh, that's nuts. Yeah, keep Huberman in your daughter's life for sure. That'll be a great influence for her. And like, yeah, that's awesome, man. Like, you definitely, like, that's the thing. When you have hard beginnings like that, and those stories of you telling that story, like, that was the first initiation into knowing that your spirit wanted to carry forth a purpose. I feel like that's almost like the begin that is the beginning of your story. Those 3 blood transfusions can be like the 3 pillars of something that is going to extend into your daughter's lives, or anyone that is come in contact with you. And with your podcast and sharing this value, it incredibly exponentially gives you that drive and your purpose to take off even more, because you don't know where you can go from here. It's endless. Like, you have no idea, man. Well, you
Uh,
do, but you have the idea. But
I do,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
thank you so much for saying that. Um, Again, it's about a 15-minute, 16-minute video if you want to check it out later on.
yeah. I'll definitely check
Um,
it out.
but yeah, have had my share of struggles. Let's put it that way. Um, so I'd like to ask you just a couple more questions before we head off.
Sure.
What are some, I mean, we've already covered a lot of them, but we're, I'm going to ask you this question anyways. What are some books, podcasts, resources that you would
Ooh.
recommend? I know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that you would recommend for anybody that's trying to get to the level of mindset that you have? Because I'm
mm,
telling you, people, when they hear your story, they're going to be like, holy shit, this guy came from down here and now he's back.
yeah.
How do I do
Oh,
that?
baby. I love it. Like, yeah, before we get that, but like, it's hype, man. Like, once you know you got that information, and like, I'm so grateful for all these people, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, just resources on the outside that we can have access to, and the stories, like, because most of the books that I will mention have stories in them that kind of give you a perspective. Like, once you know how to tap into perspective when you read a book, you can kind of correlate it to small little bits in your life where you can say, ah, I can apply this here, and suddenly it becomes information that you use, or you remember it. You're like, oh, in that book, Seneca, he tells us that, you can't just expect to, when you move somewhere, you're not going to just lose your thoughts on the disdain that you have. You take your thoughts everywhere you go. So moving to a new location isn't going to heal you. You got to heal you. So that's one of the books I guess I will mention, is anything to do with Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. Those guys, amazing. The actually, it's strange enough, the relationship that I was in last year or the year before, 2 years ago, I met this woman. It was crazy. She came out of nowhere. um, Good soul. Whatever happened between us, I always send love and I always wish the best. But that was one relationship that taught me the most I've ever known. The most, like, information that I could say I could take away is like the books that I've read. She introduced me to Marcus Aurelius, which is crazy. So the Stoic books for sure, Ryan Holiday, podcasts, and other external bits on platforms. I guess I could say The One You Feed is a good podcast, and anything to do with like mysticism. So if you just search up mysticism and just like the human condition, or just divine, like divineness or divinity. Um, Other spiritual books, I guess I could say Eastern Body, Western Mind, and one for psychology and just human nature. Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power and Laws of Human Nature. And to top it off, Ryan Holiday's Stoic books: The Ego is the Enemy, Stillness is the Key. You know what's up. Like
I
that's
do.
very
I got those
That,
books right
that's it
here.
right there, man. As soon as you can knock that ego away and become calm in yourself and really bring yourself back home too, in any situation. Like, there has been times, like even in my last relationship when I was healing, like there were times when I needed connection, and that person wasn't able to give me connection because they had stuff going on too. So I was very much inside myself, and I was like, well, how dare this person like not connect with me? Like, I really need attention right now. Then it's like, well, you got to also consider the outside. It's like that person too is doing the best they can with what they got. And I knew she had stuff going on in her life where she couldn't extend herself that way. So I came back to it and I was like, no, I need to keep amplifying the love in myself, to connect with myself, find home in myself. So when that validation or that connection can't come, I can come back home and feel very much at peace with myself. So living with somebody that wasn't able to do that, and then being in a troubled position like myself, was a really, really tough time to just blend the two and be like, yeah, I guess I'm in this on by myself. But at the same time, like, she still did show up the best ways that she could. And I'm very, very grateful for that. So, um, you got to know that, like, from like any of the books, all that I have shared, the one thing I can say I take away from all my books is that we are doing the best we can with what we know. And that's something that'll help us detach, is knowing that we all come from different cuts of cloth in relationship styles, family dynamics, and whatever we've experienced. Some things we will never always have our needs met. So the faster we can learn that we'll be okay, and that we're not always guaranteed the things that we want. And we have to come back to ourselves and remember that we got to give that to ourselves first.
Awesome, man. Awesome. the that the books that you mentioned, I'm gonna make a list for anybody that's watching, just so we're clear. So
Mhm.
I know that was he said all this different stuff. I'm gonna
Yeah,
capture it and I'll put it down right below. Um,
yeah,
any mentors that you've had? This is one more question after this, but any mentors
yeah,
that you've had that really have helped you? You kind of just mentioned one with your one of your previous relationships because what she brought you, that's in my
yeah.
mind a mentor. But any other
Mhm.
ones?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my last relationship was definitely a big teacher for me in a lot of ways. Not only in just like the information in the books that were shared, but just like being around that person with like what they were reading. I was just like curious. I took that in and I was like, this makes sense. Like, I get this. This kind of like helps me on my journey. So, being able to access that and be a part of that was really good. And I will make sure that in time that karmic that karmic consequence is paid or something like that in due time. But for mentors, I could say that like during my time of healing, I didn't have anybody. Like I only had the woman that I was living with, and I had no one else to rely on. I couldn't call my father. I couldn't call my mother. My sister was non-existent. The friends I did have were like wishy-washy friends, so they didn't really show up for me. So I really was just left with the only person. It was her, and I felt burdened. I felt like a burden to this person because it's like if I'm only relying on you to take care of me, that's not fair. So I upped the game on myself and was like, yeah, I got to take care of myself more. So I could say that honestly, my last relationship, as her being like a mentor, as you said, like a mentor, or teacher, or something that, or to show me that that injury from all the things that I know was almost like my rite of passage as a man because I learned to be grounded in myself. I never once was verbally abusive. I was never physically abusive and I was never emotionally abusive. I remained in myself and said that I have to be strong. I still have to be the man in this relationship and lead somehow. Even with my confidence cut to absolute zero, I needed to show up and show this person that I had the gusto, and the determination, and the absolute will to keep going.
Right.
And well, no matter what I would do and no matter like how hard I would try, like all those efforts that I was putting forth were kind of going unnoticed. So I was like, this person really isn't not meant for me. I need to be validated. I need to be seen as well. So I know what my needs are now tenfold. So that was one thing that came out of that relationship. Boundaries, the way that I access people, I've learned all that now. So mentor, my last relationship. Um, I guess I could say my neighbor down the way. I mean, he was quite supportive of me, and he was always one to give me positive words and things like that. So, other than that, I think I got stripped of all mentorship and any sort of leadership through that. I led myself. I was all on my own, and I had
So
to lead myself continuously through that. It's kind of crazy how like the world's changed in a way where sometimes your injuries, the things you've gone through, will be discounted. But you can't let that discourage you because you don't know what people have in their capacities to listen to you or to give you knowledge. Like that's another part of detachment is that you could share as much as you want with somebody and how they respond. You can't attach to that. You have to know that sometimes people just won't be able to be there to give you what you need, and that's okay. Like that's totally okay. And the faster we get to know that, we will stop putting expectations on people. And expectations is what I've learned to like reduce because expectations is what kills your ability to properly connect with people.
right, it's all coming from inside of you, anyways, and you can't control them. You can only control yourself. Yeah,
Precisely.
that's awesome. So safe to say that the biggest teacher in life for you, was yourself, your injury.
Mhm.
No credit taken away from your relationship or the person down the street, but um, that's if you can see what's on the screen, it using life experiences to create value for others.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah. And like if you read all these books about stoicism or human nature, anything of the sort that is like any close to the context of teaching someone something, all of that was an experience noted in time that has been written down in text and it's available for you to read. So as you and I converse over this podcast, it's basically the same thing. We're still writing a story. It's just in the form of Aaron and Damian sharing together.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Last question I always ask, all right?
Yeah.
What is some advice you'd want to give a new person, walking into the entrepreneurial world, to have as a mindset to build whatever they're trying to do?
Hmm. Well, lots of answers come to mind. I'm going to sift it down to one. It would be pick something that you're good at and just go for it. Like just do it. Like whatever you are good at in whatever fashion form that makes you happy, like just go for it. Like put all you got into it. And then that thing that you do that you like, whether it is successful or if it's not, it will open up other doors and other possibilities. So just go for it. Like if you are sitting here and you're like, ooh, I want to do entrepreneurship, but I don't know what to do, find that thing that you're good at and just go for it. Like do the thing. Do the thing.
Awesome, man. Well,
Yeah,
what a great podcast it was. You answered a lot of great questions and passionately, I can say. And I'm very, very thankful and grateful that you showed up today. Like I said before, and I'll keep saying it, uh, this happened for a reason.
for
And
sure.
thank you again for being here. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Like me in the gym talking to Calvin and then getting put in touch with me sharing my story. It felt really good to get out, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for listening, and thank you for putting this in a little time capsule video form so everyone can see it. It makes me feel like I've got that validation that I've been looking for, or not looking for, but just needing to express that story because it's very important to me. So thank you so much.
It's important to me too. I like I don't want you to feel like your story is not important to anybody because your story was very important to me. It made me feel certain different things that I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'll talk
Mhm.
about it later on. But you've opened up some doors that I probably had closed, and I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome, and I'm happy to do that. Like I've set intention for myself on this one lifetime that I have, and it's to influence as many people as I can. And I just want to be a lighthouse for people. So I'm grateful for that. Thanks, Aaron.
You definitely are. Like you're definitely a lighthouse. I promise you that. Um,
Thank you, sir.
okay. Where can people find you? You said something about 6 foot stoic, but what else?
All right, so like I'm on 6 foot stoic on Instagram. I got a cool Instagram name. I'm morbidly at peace on Instagram, and just that one platform for now. I just want to
Okay.
keep my social media use at such like a low dose level. I'm going to be increasing my art pretty soon, so that's where you can find me. Other than that, I got some projects coming up. So as the days go on, I'll be releasing some more things on my 6 foot stoic channel, which is on YouTube. So that's yet to come. So morbidly at peace on Instagram is where you can find me.
Awesome, man. Well, I can't wait to have you back on here in maybe a year or two to see where you're at. And again, thank you for being here.
No problem. Thank you, Aaron. I very much appreciate it.
All right, everybody else, thank you for watching. You know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, all that other great stuff, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Take care.
Take care, Aaron.